When morals decline and good men do nothing, evil flourishes. A society unwilling to learn from the past is doomed. We must never forget our history. We must never lower our guard.
He's played many parts over the years and been in many projects, from the sinking of the Titanic to stepping into the shoes of Howard Hughes in The Aviator, and now Leonardo DiCaprio tackles the project of J. Edgar Hoover in the biopic J. Edgar. Hello everybody, and thank you once again for returning to my favorite website, ReelScreenReviews.com. I am, of course, movie critic Nick Iacobucci, happily joined by my returning guest critic, the lovely Debbie DeAngelo. Thank you for being here.
No problem.
And our next review is, as I said, J. Edgar. It opened in wide release on Wednesday, November 9th, 2011, and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Armie Hammer, Naomi Watts, and Academy Award winner Judi Dench. This film comes to us from two-time Academy Award-winning director Clint Eastwood, the Academy Award-winning director of $1 Million Baby and The Unforgiven, as well as many other movies going back many, many decades, all the way to Play Misty for Me in the 60s. How about that? Well, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my guest critic to tell us a little bit about J. Edgar.
This one isn't too hard.
No,
Quite
I didn't think it would be.
It's about the life and times of J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI. And it really chronicles both his professional achievements and his personal struggles. And it does this as he dictates his memoirs.
Yes. Yes. Now, did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie?
Loved it.
Really?
Loved the movie.
I really liked it. I'm not going to say I don't think it was one of the best movies of the year. I think it was well above average. I don't think it achieves greatness. Do you think it was great?
Yes, I
really?
do think it was great.
Really? I can think of many things that I liked about the movie. I'll start with the performance of Leonardo DiCaprio, down to his mannerisms and his speech pattern. His dialect was brilliant and spot on.
The age progression was fascinating to me, both in appearance and demeanor. Of all the characters, I forgot I was looking at Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, it was so real.
Now, I'll tell you one of the big problems that I had. Well, before I even get to the big problem that I had with the movie, I think Armie Hammer, the guy that played his sidekick partner, I think gives just as solid a performance. I think he's more the emotion of the movie than anything else. I think he's going to get overshadowed by the performance of DiCaprio because his is so captivating, but I think he gives just as grand a performance. But the one big issue that I had with the movie was his character, I believe, is Clyde Tolson. And when they show him when he ages, I thought his makeup was really something to be desired. I thought Leonardo DiCaprio's was like perfectly aged, and I thought when they showed him, it really, I saw right through it. It looked like it was.
Well, not everybody looks good as they age.
Well, I know, and then he had health issues too. But I thought just on a whole that I could see through it at that spot. What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you, it left me wanting to know more about J. Edgar Hoover.
Right.
From his belief in the Dewey Decimal System and implementing that, and I think it was the Library of Congress, to his execution of fingerprinting and centralization of criminal records. I wasn't really aware of his role in all of that.
No, he was definitely a pioneer.
Yes, he was a visionary.
Yeah.
And to the point where other people thought he was a nut job.
No.
Because they thought, oh, DNA evidence. Who needs that? Oh, yeah, we need fingerprinting. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got.
But when it all came together, you could see that this guy really knew what he was talking about decades ahead of his time.
Absolutely.
Now, I would say that he's a pioneer in criminal investigation, but I would also say that he's a pioneer in blackmail.
Well, he only used it when necessary. I thought that was really funny. He stayed through many different presidential administrations, and
it was always the same scene. Yeah. He's sitting outside the office with a file, and he would come out and he would get whatever he really needed. And I thought that was actually.
But he was playing their game. It was like, he doesn't want to play hardball, but if he has to, he's going to pull out a bigger bat.
The scene with Robert Kennedy, I thought, was actually one of the better scenes in the movie, and he did it so gracefully and pleasantly, and I think that's how he was supposed to come off. But I thought that I don't know. I thought that whole scene worked. I thought how he went about all doing that was really something else.
It was very humorous in many respects. I personally liked the relationships in this movie.
Okay.
I loved the relationship. Well, I loved it with Miss Gandy, his secretary.
Yes.
She was a woman ahead of her times. She did not want to get married. She had a career. She wanted to be a career woman.
Naomi
but
Watts.
her devotion and her loyalty was outstanding.
Yes.
The relationship with his mother, yes, very tormenting.
Was a pivotal
absolutely,
point in the film.
Absolutely. And then with his assistant and / life partner.
Right.
You know, that was so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I thought that was actually the center of the film. I thought that's what kept the film going. The one thing that kind of bothered me, because we've talked about how he could blackmail other people, he didn't blackmail the presidents, but he got his way with them, so to speak. But, you know, and I know that this takes place in a different decade, many decades ago, but, you know, he lived at home with his mom. He never got married. He went on vacation with this man. He worked with this man. You know, nobody thought to look at, you know, into his personal life and maybe try to get one up on him. I mean, do you think it...
Well, in that time, I think homosexuality was a little more closeted. It was something they may have known of, but nobody spoke of. And in fact, one of the most pivotal scenes to me was when he said to his mother, "I have no interest in dancing with women." And her response to that
was very, very strange.
Very telling of the times, as well as what she thought he should do. And to me, that was just gut-wrenching.
Right, and you knew that he was going to, in turn, live his life by the rules that she just basically set forth. He wasn't going to...
society.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and society. So I thought, in a way, it was a juxtaposition looking at his professional life and his personal life. It's like somebody who's professionally astute, but personally a little pathetic. You know, like you've got one area of your life that you excel at, and the other one, ooh, not so good.
And I'll tell you, and I thought this movie, for being a little over 2 hours, I thought it flew by, except when it got right near the end of the movie, like the last 20 minutes of the film, I really thought that it just wouldn't get to the end of this film, and it really felt like it just dragged on just a little bit there at the end. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that I liked this movie. I thought this movie was well above average, but short of great.
How about that part where his mother's chastising him because he didn't take up cigarette smoking soon enough, early enough in his life, because that would calm his nerves, and then he wouldn't end up like his demented father if only he would smoke cigarettes. I was laughing.
Well, I did think that the movie, it captured the time period like to the T, like very, very perfectly.
Because you forget about that.
No, absolutely. And I do think that, like you said, as he aged through the time periods, I thought, you know, because it wasn't like, you know, in the trailers he's young and he's old, but in the film it progresses, you know, scene to scene. And I thought as they hit every time period with him in every time period, I thought it was really almost spot on when it came to that.
I
technically.
loved it. How many stars are you giving it?
I'm going to give this 3 stars out of 4. I'm going to say it's highly recommended. It's well worth your time. But I would say, you know, this isn't what I would deem a popcorn movie. This is like a thinking person's film, and this is something that you could feel like you could learn something when you go see it. This isn't Star Wars or Avatar or something like that. But it's a story well worth telling, and it was nice to see it. It was good. It was well above average.
4 stars.
Really? You're going to give this a perfect review? Wow, a perfect review from my guest critic. How about that? I don't think I liked it that much. I really thought
I'm a little easier on the 4 stars than you are.
Yeah, I thought it was well above average, and I'm not saying not to go see it, but I'm not going to say that it was of perfection like I think The Help and 50-50 and other movies I didn't think it was as good as those.
I don't compare them as the same kinds of movies. To me, there can be many different 4 stars for many different reasons, and so I guess I am a little more lenient with the 4 stars, but I think you should go see this movie. It's well worth the trip.
I think it's worth it on the performance of Leonardo DiCaprio, and then I think it's worth it on the performance of Armie Hammer. And I just think that he played the Winklevoss twins in The Social Network, and he's an up and coming actor, and I think he's going to be around for a long time because he's just much more than a pretty face, and he shows you that in this movie. So
definitely.
Okay, I'd say this is definitely a favorable review for J. Edgar with 4 stars and 3 out of 4 stars with me. And Debbie, thank you so much for being here.
Looking forward to the next one.
Okay, and until then, remember, people, we're not always right, but only when it comes to the movies, and thank you for your attention.
It's time this generation learned the difference between villain and hero. Even great men can be corrupted.